Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chantel and today we are going to do something for this shelf right behind me because this is going to be my potion shelf. Right now there is not much going on there besides just a few empty bottles and jars. I got this thing at a thrift store about 2 days ago and I thought it would be very cool to set on my potion shelf and have some small bottles in there as well. So today's video is a collaboration between myself and Dittany from Wizardry Workshop, and I have collaborated with him before on Dumbledore's office where he created all the fantastic portraits. I have not shown you this room yet, and I will do a studio tour and a book room tour because this is the book room very soon. All the portraits that are in there is what he created for our previous collaboration. And if you're curious where the matchboxes are, they are sitting right over there, but more about that in a studio and book room tour. So I asked Dittany if he could create the labels for the potions. He agreed, so we're doing this collaboration. He is going to do his versions, I'm going to do mine. His will be a little bit more on the official prop side. Mine will be a little bit more extravagant. It's a little bit more embellished. This video is going to be a much longer one than what you're normally used to. Especially the first potion will take me a little bit longer to get the hang of things, and it will speed up from there on. But it's all real-time footage, so I hope you enjoy. Let me show you who Dittany is and what he does, and let's then after that get into potion making. Dittany is an incredible graphic designer. He creates high-quality Harry Potter replicas and most of his videos are DIY tutorials with downloadable templates. He does some fantastic work with foiling and creating books and book covers. So if you would like to make your own Harry Potter props, make sure to give him a follow. So first of all, let me show you my desk, what I'm working with. I've got some sealing wax here and a little stove and a wax seal as well. I will use some polymer clay on one of the potions. Got some water and glycerin to get the shimmer going with mica powders, and maybe also some watercolors. So that's my Arteza watercolor set. I've got my books here. I have the print out of the labels. I will get into detail about the labels in a second. Then I've got the potion bottles that I've selected. Got my tools, got some twine and cord and all that kind of stuff that I want to spruce the potions up with. Have some beads and, you know, random bits and pieces that can go onto the potion bottles. And some random items here that I use for miniatures and all my other creations as well, like journals and all that kind of stuff. So this is what we're working with today, and whatever else I need, I will just add that to the mix. So let's just get started. Okay, first things first. I am going to be using this sheet that is created by Dittany from Wizardry Workshop. He has made this available for you to download. Please do not misuse it and please don't sell it on. It has his logo there, and this is not for resale, it is for personal use only. You're free to use it in your own projects if you would like. So this is the sheet that Dittany has provided. This is obviously a 100% print, as in the scale is 100%. I did not scale it up or down. These are the potion labels that I will be working with. These are not all 100%, so this one is 100%. However, these ones are 150% because I wanted them to be a little bit larger for the bottles that I'm using. And this one is also 150%. This one is 70% because I needed that to be smaller. Anyway, let's get into it. I'm very curious to see what Dittany is creating. My potion bottles will be a little bit more, I don't know, edited than what you would see in a movie. It is completely up to you if you like this kind of style or not. This is my take on these potions, and you do whatever you want to do. These potion bottles are so open to interpretation, and that's the beauty of this collaboration as well, that we will both create the same potion bottles, but they will be completely different. Let's get started. The first potion bottle that I will be creating is Essence of Dittany. Now in the movie, obviously you've seen that Hermione uses a very small, tiny vial. If it would be in any, I don't know, potion stores, potion shelves, I think the general bottle would be larger. And in this case, I found this one. Most of my bottles I did not buy new. This one had some kind of, I think it was a syrup that you can pour over ice cream. The bottle is just really cool, so I kept that one. This cork is not a cork, it's plastic. And if you want to make your own potions and you are reusing bottles, make sure you keep the tops so you can actually put the liquid in and shake it up. So this potion is going to be fairly simple. I kind of want to add this to it, but I know this floats. So let's see if I can add some stones to the base of this, and then see if it actually sinks to the base. I just tried this with lichen, and the lichen just detaches from the rocks that I added. So because this bottle is very narrow at the top, you have to make sure that it fits through. So I am going to grab some little rocks. For this purpose I'm going to use these black ones. Not sure if this is gonna add enough weight to it because this is such a huge thing, and I have to keep in mind that it needs to still fit through that narrow opening. So I tested the lichen in this before, so that's why it's a little bit murky, but not too worried about it. Okay, so by the looks of it, that should stay at the bottom. Yep, I'm happy with that. Let's add that water. I can always add more later because I don't know what the volume of this thing is. So what I'm going to do now is, you see some bits floating around in there, but that's okay. Probably that color. Yeah. And I don't want to add too much. That's almost where I want it to be. I looked up on the internet what colors these potions should be, and I landed on brown with Essence of Dittany, so I'm hoping this is all okay. And because this contained a liquid before, I'm not really worried that it will leak whilst I'm working on the rest of the stuff. Won't go down. Right, there you go. In you sit. And that looks pretty cool, I think. Let's just fill that up. Okay, so now that we've got the base done, which I'm really happy with, let's move on to the exterior of the bottles, which is basically what most of the things that I will be doing will be focused on, the outside of the bottles. I thought to use some of this hemp twine. I hope I have enough of that. Might go with this stuff. And then add that in between. So I have plenty of this. So first thing that I want to do is attach it somewhere here. I'm just going to go ahead and add some hot glue. Just the tiniest bit so it can stick to something. Now I was trying to glue this down with the hot glue, but it's too tedious, to be honest. So I'm going to add a layer of matte Mod Podge, which should hold it together quite nicely. And I'm just basically applying as I go. This is all a learning curve for me. I've never done this before. Can you believe it? I've never done any potions before. Alright, I think this is what I want it to be. I've got this ink here and it's no secret to anyone that I use this a lot. So what I want to do with this, I want to scrunch this up a little bit. And because when you print something, you always have white edges just on the top of the paper. So I want to cover that a little bit. You can also do this with a marker or something like that. Just very slightly want to go over that. Edges are inked and it looks nice and aged, even more so than these initial aging effects. I want to glue that on, and I might do that somewhere there. These are basically like page corners, book corners. They can embellish anything really. Right in the middle of those crossovers. Somewhere there. And there. So I'm just gonna do that off camera with the hot glue gun. This is on. I really like what that looks like. And then I've got these two little leaves, which I want to hang from the side of the bottle. And I am going to attach them with some more twine. I was going to add this, but I think this actually looks pretty good. And there we have it, the two little leaf dangles. Now for the finishing touch of this one, I want to add some wax to the top. Normally for a seal I need about 3. So for this let's use 5. Okay, my spoon is a little bit broken, but we'll see if it holds up. And if it doesn't break any further, otherwise I'll just probably need to use a normal spoon. Melt these in there. I'm gonna just wait for that. Okay, this wax, if you've never used it, it cools down really, really fast. So you want to move quickly. I'm pretty happy with that. First one done. Let's make another one. So for the second potion bottle, it's going to be similar as the first one, but not quite the same. I'm going to be using this bottle and it's going to be Polyjuice potion. The label for that is this one. And you will see once I put the Mod Podge on, it will stick properly to that. So what I want to do is I want to wrap it around with twine again, also around the handle, so it gets that rustic look. I'm going to use thicker twine. So I used this before and now I'm going to use this. So I'm going to wrap that all around till about there-ish. Then of course I have to put that potion bottle label on. Let's scrunch that up again. I might actually do this first, so I know how far to go with the twine. And this potion bottle, because it's similar to the first one, the difference is I'm going to use this one. It looks blue on the packaging, but it is actually green when you put it in. So I'm going to use that as the swirl part thing of the potion. And again, going to age up those edges. Let's put some Mod Podge on it. So just working with the shape of that bottle, make sure that there's plenty of Mod Podge on there, and then you can just shape it kind of into place. I'm going to cover it as well, just so I'm sure that that shape holds. And I can tidy up the edges later. And this is printed on an inkjet printer, so as you can see, it doesn't smudge the ink or anything. You can just go over it. This is all cleaned up and dry and workable, so let's start with this stuff. So now I've reached the end of where I want to go with that part. I'm just gonna work my way up this handle, and this part and those parts I will fill in later with just cut off pieces of twine. I am now going to use the water and the glycerin to make a little concoction inside the bottle. So the glycerin is gonna make the shimmer stuff float a little bit more slowly, and it's gonna be dissolved in the water. It will settle over time, which is normal. Just gonna pour this in. There's just a little layer on the bottom. And I'm gonna pour the water in. Just gonna mix that like so. You don't need a lot of glycerin for a potion bottle. Just gonna pour this in. See that? It's pretty green. Just gonna start off with a little bit, because a little bit goes a long way. You can see it going in there. Turns out a little bit bluish green, but we'll see. When I use this as a watercolor, it's not this blue. But hey, I suppose we have a blue potion. Doesn't matter. With green shimmer. There we have it. Beautiful. Now we can close that. Top it up a little bit more. There we go. It should not leak. Just like the previous bottle, age it up a little bit. This is what happens. This is when it settles to the bottom. So there we go. Here is the Polyjuice potion. Put a little coin thing. It says live your dream at the back, but let's just display this side. And some beads. And there is potion number 2 done. Moving on to potion number 3, well, and partially 4. They are going to be the Aconite potion bottles. However, the first one is going to be the Monk's Hood one, and the second one is going to be Wolfsbane. They are the same plant, however, Monk's Hood is associated with chivalry, and Wolfsbane is associated with misanthropy. This one's going to be blue. And this one is going to be a dark purple. I know my previous one was blue, it was supposed to be green, so be it. I'm going to use this one for this potion, and I might mix the interference green with a dark purple watercolor. So let's get into the Monk's Hood first. Again, I'll be using twine just because I like the look of it, but this time I'm going to start from the base. So what I want to do is go up to about there and then crisscross it again, and crisscross it again to the top, and then wrap it around there as well. Let's start with attaching the twine to the base first. And of course I'm going to use Mod Podge for that again. To do the first part, I'm just going to attach that with some hot glue. There we go. The bottom is now covered with the twine, and just need to wait for it to dry, and then I can move on. This is nearly dry. It's still a little bit wet, but I can work with that. I've got 3 of these little rings, and then the rope or the twine both go through the ring. Pull the ring up to about there. And then cross. And do the same thing here. Just wrapping this around for the remainder of this thing. Just gonna let that hang there. So I will apply some Mod Podge here so it stays put and it blends in with the bottom part. So sometimes I forget things, and in this case I forgot to put on the label. I just need to try and glue it on as best as I can. And I decided on a tiny key because why not? Now I want to put a seal there, and I think I'm gonna go with my wings. So this is for my wedding. You can, however, make your own wax seals. These I made myself. That's just leaves. So what I did, this is polymer clay. I made a circle, then I pushed this into the clay 3 times, baked it, and then afterwards I glued this little cube on. It's just a wooden cube with some super glue. And the same I did with this one, which is just this little raven that I pushed in. This is I might actually use this one for the base, that would be nice. That is this one. Just push that in and you get that shape. And actually that tiny key, that's this thing. What I might do is use this one as the seal for the base. If you don't have seal wax, I think 2 parts hot glue and 1 part crayon. That gives you the wax and the color, because the crayon itself will break, the hot glue will not break. So when you mix that, you get the flexibility of the hot glue and the color of the wax crayon, and you can melt that with a spoon over fire. Just be careful. Anything to do with fire can burn, so be careful. This is just another way of doing it if you don't have the proper tools. So I'm going to make the wax seal on here, mainly because this is round and it will just run off. And this is a heat mat, so this is basically a barbecue mat. You can also get the Tim Holtz craft mat. They are heat resistant as well, but basically the same thing as what you can buy at a hardware store, which is a bigger mat anyway, and probably cheaper as well. So I'm going to pour the wax seal on here. Let's pour that. So right now it seems like I can remove it from the mat, so let's do that so the bottom can cool down. Let's make the potion that goes inside. Pour the glycerin in. Made a pretty cool impression. Going to use some Fabri-Tac glue, because that basically glues everything. With some silver acrylic paint, I'm just gonna go over that seal. Just ever so slightly. To make those details stand out. There we go. Are we ready? I'm not ready, but let's go. This is seriously more difficult than it seems. It dries so fast, but I think I'm happy with this because the lid is kind of black anyway. Let's move on to Aconite potion number 2. Okay, moving on to the next Aconite bottle. I am heating up that spoon because my wax seal spoon is really broken. I can't repair it now. Let's do first things first. Age up this label and stick it on, otherwise we'll have the same problem. This potion will have a similar kind of look, however, it will have metal chains and skulls rather than the twine. This is the bottle. It's slightly smaller than the other one. There's that one. And what I might do, it is wolfsbane after all. Pretty sure this is what Snape gave to Lupin to ease the symptoms. And I'm doing this whilst the glue is still wet, so it's easier to tear. Let's leave this to dry and then I'll age it up a little bit there. So I've aged it up a little bit just by going around the edges like that. And it looks pretty cool so far. I like it. What I'll be doing with this is we need to put some purple liquid in there, and I'm going to do that with watercolor. I'm still going to add the glycerin. I might add, because this has taken quite a while with this watercolor and I don't want to waste it all, I might just add normal watercolor. Interference green, or green opal magic this one is. So I did some tests with the shimmer drops watercolors, and obviously in small bottles you don't need as much. With the big bottles you need a lot more. It's looking really cool. I wanted more purple. There we go. This is more what I wanted. So I have these 3 skulls and they all come from the same necklace that I bought at a thrift store for I think $5. This is all the pieces that came off it. Of course I had to make a potion with skulls and I thought this would be the best one to do it. So I want to place this one on top and the other 2 as dangles. This has holes in his head because obviously he was on a necklace. I'm going to sculpt that with some milliput, which is 2-part epoxy clay, and then I can glue that on. There's 2 equal parts. This is what it looks like if you're wondering what I'm using. There we go. That should do it. Some silver rings to put these chains on the side. So we can have the skull dangles. That looks a lot better. I really like this one. Put the skulls on. To go through? It does go through. So what if I put a large ring at the bottom and have it dangly underneath that as well? What I might do is replace that big ring with smaller rings because I don't like the big ring as much. Maybe 1 bell per skull. Yeah, I like that much better. That's much better. Okay, I'm gonna call this done for now. I really like the drips on the side and the skull on top and the skulls on the side here. And the chains, I just love the whole thing, the color. And I will touch that up a little bit later. But for now, I'm gonna move on to the next one. Moving on to potion number 5, which will be an elixir. And the bottle that I chose for this is this one. It is a yellow, or if you want, golden bottle. It was $3 at the thrift store. I printed this one at 70%, so it fits right there in the middle. This one is not going to be too extravagant. I want to put a golden chain around it with a golden bell. Want it to be really gold, so 3 scoops. Really cool. Just that effect is just awesome. I have some gold thread. I do like this. It's just something different. There we go. It's a very simple one, but I do like this one. The 6th one I will be creating is going to be Belch powder. Now this is, I think, what as far as I could find it online, probably a Zonko product, but I'm going to make it as if it would be from Nocturne Alley, somewhere there. So I have a box. Pretty sure this was the very first matchbox I tried to create and try to figure out size. I will leave a link in the description box below where you can find it. This particular potion ingredient, I am going to use a little baggie that I'm going to put the powder in, because it's going to be a powder, which is going to be sand. I'm going to use sand for that. And this sand needs to be blue. So I'm first going to try and color it with some mica powder. If that doesn't work, I'm going to get some chalk pastel. To scoop some in here. Maybe a little bit more. That looks blue enough to me. And I just wanted this to look cool inside that little matchbox, so this is all I'm doing with it, really. There we go, that looks pretty cool. And now I'm going to decorate the outside with this label, and this fits exactly on this thing, and this is at 150%. What I'm gonna do, like I did with all the others, I'm going to scrunch it up, some of that distress ink. Just gonna stick that on, and then I'm gonna age it up even further. I just wanted to cover those edges. And then I just want to age up the entire box. Got the blue wax going to use some of this stuff. Wrap it around like that. Make it look a little bit more magical. Maybe some small silver beads. Let me see, I have a few here. There we go, there's the 2 beads. Just gonna hold them down with some, the end of the roll washi tape. And I want that blue seal because it's got the blue powder inside. So let's go. Just need to wait for that to harden. This is a silver marker. You can also use Sharpie. I'm just gonna bring out that design. You can also use paint, whatever really. Now we've got a little seal there. And now this one is also done. Let's move on to number 7. Potion number 7 is going to be a very tiny one, which is a Graphorn powder. So I've read on the interwebs that this is a very valuable powder and it's gold. I want to try and color some more sand and put it in here. Let's do the same trick. It looks shimmery, so see if adding a little more will help. Let's add some of that and see what it does. Just gonna add the rest to the bottle and then fill it with the sand mixture. Then it should be fine. See, now we have that. Just gonna shake that up. There we have it. There's like streaks of gold through that, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just not a big fan of glitter. Let's do the same thing with that label and do the same inking process again. Okay, what I want to do is I want to add some fabric to the top and then wrap it around with twine. Just gonna attach that with some hot glue. As the glue is still hot, you can kind of pleat the fabric. I'm going to be using some green twine. I think that looks rather good. And if one of those strands stands up too much, you can tuck it under. Like that. This is, by the way, the same fabric that I used for the sorting hat in Dumbledore's office. That's it. Graphorn powder. And let's move on to the very last potion. The last potion, potion number 8, Pepperup Elixir. It's going to be made in this bottle. I'm pretty sure it was a vinegar. This kind of looks like a pepper to me, if I painted that red. And hey, maybe they're Wizarding World peppers, who knows. I was thinking of hanging 2 of this bottle, which means I will not have to use my polymer clay. And the only golden chain I have left is a very chunky one, which might actually work for this potion. That is the label, and I want to use a very large label. So this label is at 150%. So let's scrunch this up. Gonna wait with aging up more because I want to burn some of the edges. I want to make the potion. This is Autumn Apple Crimson, and I hope it doesn't go pink. How cool does that look? I think, because this is so dark, it's a dark red, it probably needs some, let's see if I can add some pearl white, what that does. That is super awesome. It almost looks like flames. Put these little rings on well, little rings. They're like ovals, because otherwise it won't go through. And I can hang them like that. I'm just using plain acrylic paint, nothing fancy. Just going over with the same ink that I used for the label. Just to darken it up a little bit. Where's my Mod Podge? There. I want to just give it a layer of Mod Podge to protect the paint. And yes, the paint came off a little bit, but to be honest, I don't mind because they're meant to look like fake peppers and it just makes them look a little bit more vintage. And that's the last one. So let's have a look what they look like. But before I do that, I'm going to have a look at what Danny's looks like. Let's all dive into a surprise because I have no idea what he's done with his potions. It's a surprise for me. And as I'm going to edit this video, I'm going to view and react to what he's made. So let's go. Wow, that looks authentic. Like the real thing. That is so good. And the gold foiling. Oh, wow. Those potions look awesome. I love that red contrast with the green. And again, gold foiling because, you know, Danny is all about that gold foiling. It's so good. It's the same thing he does with the book covers that he makes for the boxes, and that swirl is fantastic. So good. So good. Wow, we used the same potion bottles for this one. That is so cool. And you probably also use sand, because I don't know what you used yet, but it looks like sand. That is so cool. Just the same bottles. You made that armadillo vial. That is so cool. And again, that gold foiling is just, that's just awesome. Pepperup Elixir. Yes, I love that bottle. That is such a good bottle. I like what you did with the inside as well. That looks so cool. So cool. I can't wait to view your video. That blue is just, that looks like it's, did you put a light in there? It looks like it. It looks really cool. And again, that gold foiling, I keep saying it, but it looks really good. Really good. Oh, I like that. I do have those jars in a little bit bigger, but I do like these. So different from what I've created, but so good. Speaking of what I've created, let's get into that right now. And here they are in their final places on the shelf, including a print replica from Dittany as well. I will leave the link of that one in the description box below so you can make one yourself if you would like. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this longer DIY craft with me video, and let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see more potion bottles, if you would like to see more collaborations like this one, and which one is your favorite. Also, make sure to check out my Etsy store. I put up some new merch and stickers and all that kind of stuff, so I think there might be something you might enjoy. Now, go do all the fun stuff like comment, like, and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.